So what is up, amigos? Hope you're doing awesome. My name is Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. I know this might not be the most popular opinion right now. A lot of people are moved by Mahavatar Narsimha and the intention behind it to bring our sacred stories from the Puranas to the big screen deserves appreciation. But after watching the film, I felt a deep sense of disappointment. And I say this not as someone being overly critical, but as someone who truly values our tales of faith. The animation in the film felt underwhelming, not just when compared to global standards, but even within the growing space of Indian animation. If we are trying to tell stories that mean so much to us, stories that carry emotional and spiritual depth, we need to approach them with a certain level of seriousness and care. And if the budget or vision doesn't allow that, maybe it's okay to wait until we can do justice to them. Not everything has to be rushed for the sake of the moment. Now, to be fair, the ambition behind Mahavatar Narsimha was big, telling the story of Bhakta Prahlada, Hiranyakashyap Asura, and the powerful avatar of Lord Narasimha Swamy is no small task. These stories that many of us have grown up listening to from our parents, our grandparents, stories that stay with us, that shape our understanding of good, evil, faith, and divine intervention. The film also came with the promise of being part of a larger cinematic vision, what they're calling the Mahavatar universe. The idea of building something so big and rooted in our scriptures is exciting. It really is. That's why people were curious and hopeful. But somewhere between the idea and the execution, a lot seems to have been lost. That said, I also want to acknowledge what did work. In the final act of the film, the background score truly stood out. It was intense, loud, and dramatic, but in that particular moment, it felt justified. It matched the fury, the divine wrath, and the unstoppable power of Lord Narasimha Swamy, the real Ugra Roopa. That portion of the music felt like it understood the weight of what was happening on screen. For a brief moment there, the energy, the emotion aligned well, and the impact was genuinely strong. It showed that somewhere in the mix, the intention to create something powerful was always present. I just have one comment on this final act though. Is it really UA content? I don't understand the CBFC certification these days. I mean, I get the need to show the impact and the fury, but to the extent of a visual representation of tearing somebody up from their stomach, taking their fleshy, bloody intestines out and holding a pounding heart in the hand full of blood, still suitable for children, whereas some very minute things get trimmed out from many films. I just don't get the double standard sometimes. Anyway, let's talk about the animation. Unfortunately, it didn't feel polished or immersive enough to match the weight of the story it was telling. The character moment felt stiff, the expressions didn't fully land, and the world they created didn't feel it. When you're dealing with a story like this about a child's faith, a king's arrogance, and the dramatic arrival of a powerful form of God, the visuals need to elevate these moments. But here, they often pulled us away from them. And again, this isn't to mock or belittle the work. Animation is tough. It takes time, money, and patience. But when the final output feels rushed or incomplete, especially when released as a theatrical film, it becomes hard to ignore. Also, the choice to go with 3D animation might not have been necessary. In fact, it might have made things more difficult. With limited resources and a tight production pipeline, aiming for a simpler 2D style like classic animation or painted motion could have served the story better. When the visual quality of 3D isn't there, it draws too much attention to itself and distracts from the emotion. Sometimes less is more. Now this brings us to a more thoughtful question. Why tell such a powerful story in this format, in this way, and at this time? Now, if budget or resources were limited, would it not have been better to release it as a short format project, maybe on YouTube or OTT, where expectations are different? Because when you present something in theaters, attach it to our gods, and use the emotional pull of devotion to market it, the bar automatically becomes higher. And when the visual quality doesn't meet that level, it starts to feel like more energy was spent on the release than on the making. I truly believe audiences are willing to wait for something well made. These stories have been with us for centuries. What's the rush in retelling them in a few months? We are at a stage where Indian animation is slowly gaining recognition. There is raw talent here. There are creators trying new things with limited support. And I'm not saying this hawa mein bol raha hai or bari volu. I've interacted with them personally. And when a big budget film like this releases and sets a lower benchmark, it can send the wrong message that visual quality doesn't matter as long long as subject is devotional. But that's not true. In today's world of technology, especially with AI tools and generative animation techniques, a lot can be achieved with even a modest budget. We've entered a new era where storytelling isn't limited by massive VFX studios anymore. You just need vision, taste, and the right use of tech. In fact, just so that you don't enter my comments with all the hate ki hawa mein bol raha hai, let me show you a small clip made by a small creative team from Kerala called Storytellers Union. It's a mockumentary style video that imagines dinosaur farming in Kerala. Sounds absurd, right? Just watch a quick glimpse here, and I will also leave a YouTube video link in the description if you want to watch the whole video. And as I said, I've interacted with this team myself.
മനുഷ്യ-മൃഗ സഹവാസത്തിന്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഉദാഹരണമാണ് പാലക്കാട്ടെ ഈ ദിനോമുക്ക്. ദിനോസർ കൃഷിയെക്കുറിച്ച് കൂടുതൽ അറിയാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നവർ സമീപിക്കുക. സ്റ്റോറി ടെല്ലേഴ്സ് യൂണിയൻ, കാക്കനാട് PO, കൊച്ചി.
You see, the way it's visualized with stunning environments and believable motion actually feels more polished than a lot of theatrical animated content out there. And that's not a massive production backed by big names. That's passion, creativity, and smart use of tools. So it's no longer about whether you can do something. It's about how seriously you're willing to take your own story. I just want to end by saying this again. This is not about pulling down a film just for the sake of it. It's about recognizing where things went wrong and asking ourselves what we can do better. Mahavatar Narsimha had the right heart, but somewhere along the way, the effort and the execution didn't match the sacredness of the story. And when you're dealing with stories from our Puranas, where tales that carry so much emotional and spiritual weight, the least we can do is give them the time and effort they deserve. And what's even more important now is this. We live in a time where storytelling has changed. As he said, with AI, generative visuals, and modern tech, you don't need 100, 200, 500 crore budgets to create visual magic. What you need is intention. What you need is sincerity and attention to detail. There are small teams today, like the folks behind the dinosaur farming mockumentary I showed, who are doing jaw-dropping work without a big studio or a brand behind them. So when someone has the access, the resources, and the support to tell a story about our gods, shouldn't we expect more? Shouldn't we expect better? Shouldn't we ask for better? These tales of faith are not just chapters from old books. They are living memories. They are stories passed down through generations. If we choose to retell them on screen, let's do it right. Let's honor the story. Let's respect the audience, and most importantly, let's wait until we are truly ready to give it our best shot. Thank you for watching the video till the end. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like or share if you agree, and subscribe to the channel for more honest opinions, even if it is unpopular. Take care, stay awesome, and bye-bye.